During this tutorial, you learn to invoice your clients for time and expenses. Here's how it works. When you record time, expenses, or mileage, you tell QuickBooks if these activities and costs are billable. You also tell QuickBooks the name of the client, customer, or job. QuickBooks keeps track of these billables until you're ready to invoice for them. Then, when you are ready to create the invoice, QuickBooks automatically enters the billable expenses for you. It's that easy. First, set up your time and expenses preferences. Click the Edit menu and select Preferences. Click Time and Expenses and click the Company Preferences tab. Make sure the answer to Do you track time is yes, and that the first day of the work week is correct. You can tell QuickBooks to track reimbursed expenses as income, and you can change your default markup percentage. Click OK. Let's record some billable time. Click Enter Time. Click this link to learn more about online timesheets. With online timesheets, you can enter time remotely onto a website or your Microsoft Outlook calendar. QuickBooks can then bill for this time. In this case, select Use Weekly Timesheet. Click the Name drop-down list. You can track time for employees, vendors, and other names. We'll select an employee, Jenny Miller. Use the calendar icon to adjust the date range. Enter the customer or job. When you click the service item drop-down list, QuickBooks displays your service items. You set up these items on the item list. Let's select Design. The Notes field is optional. QuickBooks can display these notes on the client's invoice. You see how later in the tutorial. Jenny worked 2 hours on Tuesday the 13th. Make sure the checkbox in the billable column is checked. This tells QuickBooks you want to invoice the customer later. Click Save and Close. Now let's record a billable expense. You can record billable expenses on bills, checks, credit cards, and even journal entries. In this case, click Enter Bills. From the vendor drop-down list, select Ground Shipping Service. Click the Account drop-down list and select Postage and Delivery. Enter the amount, $25. Type a memo. QuickBooks can display this memo on the invoice. Click the Customer Job drop-down list and select Woods Garden Cafe. Make sure the billable checkbox is checked. Click Save and Close. You are ready to invoice for the time and expenses. Remember, you can perform this step whenever you choose. Click Create Invoices. Click the Customer Job drop-down list and select Woods Garden Cafe. QuickBooks reminds you that this customer has billable time and costs. Select this option to add the billable time and costs to the invoice. Select this option to exclude the billable time and costs. Click OK. QuickBooks opens the Choose Billable Time and Costs window. You can see the time, expenses, mileage, and items that you marked as billable to this customer. Let's bill for the time you entered earlier. Click the Time tab. Select the time you want to invoice for. Click the Options button. Use this window to tell QuickBooks how to display the time on the invoice. You can even transfer the notes you entered on the timesheet. Click OK. Click the Expenses tab. Select the expense you want to display on the invoice. Click OK. QuickBooks displays the invoice with the billable time and reimbursable expense itemized and totaled. Here's the note you entered on the bill. Click Save and Close. That's it. Remember, if you see a column for Customer Job on any transaction or form, you can mark that transaction or activity as billable. To learn more about QuickBooks, go back to the Learning Center and select another tutorial from the list.